Welcome to this episode of the Sports Detective Podcast Show. My name is James Williams, and today Kirk Ferentz may be washed. What are we talking about? Well, this past weekend, the Iowa Hawkeyes lost the Cy-Hawk rivalry game to the Cyclones. This is the third time in the past 4 seasons where the Hawkeyes have lost this game, which is a very concerning trend because there was about an 8-year stretch there for the Hawkeyes where they were absolutely dominating this rivalry, but that is just one concerning stat of a bad trend for the Iowa Hawkeyes. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys a few just kind of low light stats here for just how abysmal the Iowa Hawkeyes have been trending towards. Now, we obviously know some of the offensive concerns, so here are some very, very embarrassing Iowa Hawkeye passing stats. Iowa quarterback Mark Gronkowski has broken the record for fewest passing yards, 127, by a Big Ten quarterback for the first 2 games of the season, minimum 35 attempts since 1995. Kane Coulter previously held the record with 177 yards through 2 games in 2012. Again, that's 50 yards difference. That's like 63 yards a game. That's absolutely pathetic. That is absolutely abysmal. Let's read this one here. So this guy tweeted last year around this time, Iowa threw for less than 100 yards again. It has last threw for over 300 yards in November 23rd, 2019. Iowa has thrown for under 100 yards 12 times since then, a full season's worth. This is 1 year ago. Iowa has thrown for less than 100 yards 7 times since this tweet, hasn't thrown for 200 yards since 2023, and 300 yards since 2019. That's 19 times in what, a 6-year stretch where you were less than 100 yards in a game. It's like 3 times a year you're throwing for less than 100 yards in a game. That is absolutely just sad. It is sad that it's almost like you have to try to be that bad. Like, that is like Army, Navy, Service Academy, triple option type passing numbers that we are seeing from the Hawkeyes. This one you might say is a little bit of an unfair stat, but Iowa 0-10 in its last 10 games against ranked opponents. Some of these games are bowl games where you have transfer portal madness and all of that stuff. So maybe that's a little bit unfair, but you got goose egged in all ranked games in 2023. And just, again, some of these games against the top of your conference, you were just not even competitive in. You can barely even move the ball past the 50. And the reason that we're talking about this here today about the Iowa Hawkeyes is I saw a lot of, and I know it's not all Hawkeye fans. I know some of you actually know the real problem, which we'll get to here in a moment. But I saw a lot of people really throwing Mark Gronkowski under the bus and were saying, oh my God, we got fooled. This guy sucks. He's not a Division I quarterback. What are we doing? And he scammed us and yada, 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 yada. And for all the people that fell for the Mark Gronkowski hype, I'm sorry, but like, you win the I fell for it again award. You fell for it again. This has been a thing that has been going on with the Iowa Hawkeyes for the last 5 years. It is always up. It's Spencer Petras' fault. As soon as we get Spencer Petras out of here, with this offense, we'll get this offense back into shape again, and we'll be competing for the Big Ten title game. Now it's Deacon Hill's fault. He's fat. It's his fault. He's not a Division I quarterback. Now we got Cade McNamara. Things are going in the right direction. Oh, wait, nope. It's Brian Ferentz's fault now. It's Brian Ferentz's fault. Once we fire him, we get a new offensive coordinator, and we're all going to be sunshines and rainbows, peaches and cream. We got Tim Lester and we got Cade McNamara. Here we go. Tim Lester is going to be an explosive offense. That's what he said in the press conference for the Iowa Hawkeyes when he took the job. And then, nope, Cade McNamara is the problem. We'll bring in Mark Gronkowski now, and now it's finally solved. We got a dual threat quarterback. The Iowa Hawkeyes offense is back. Guys, you fell for it again. It is the same thing over and over and over and over again. What is the one consistent thing? The fish rots from the head down. And the consistent thing is Kirk Ferentz. That was a Kirk Ferentz run offensive game you saw over the weekend. The Iowa Hawkeyes didn't take any shots. They were very, very conservative. It was just a bunch of passes out to the flats a bunch. It was just bad offense. You fell for it again. If you thought this team was going to be good offensively, you fell for it again. I was even going back to the offense last year because I was kind of wrapping my brain. I'm like, wasn't the offense better last year? And it actually was. But the reason it was better is because the Iowa Hawkeyes have an incredibly amount of NFL offensive linemen, because Kirk Ferentz is still one of the best offensive line coaches in all, just football, period. And then Caleb Johnson was absolutely amazing. They only had 10 passing touchdowns for the Hawkeyes last year. Still have absolutely zero passing game. And it's not even the players' fault. because we saw Charlie Jones, who was a player for the Hawkeyes. All of a sudden, he leaves. He goes to Purdue. He's one of the most productive players in college football. We saw Keegan Johnson leave Iowa. He goes to Kansas State. He was a productive player. It's not the player's fault. It's not that you're not getting talent. It's that you're getting these guys in here and you're not developing them. The only things that the Iowa Hawkeyes are developing is offensive linemen and tight ends. Quarterbacks are regressing. Wide receivers are not improving at all. Sure, you had Caleb Johnson. I don't know if you have an NFL running back right now. And guys, it's Kirk Ferentz's fault. It's over. As long as he is the head coach at Iowa, they are not having a good offense, period. Point blank. It doesn't matter what transfers they bring in. It doesn't matter if you fire Tim Lester and bring someone else in on the offensive coordinator side. It is Kirk Ferentz's fault. Until the Iowa Hawkeyes get rid of Kirk Ferentz, they are falling behind. While the Iowa Hawkeyes are stuck in neutral, the rest of the Big Ten right now is improving. They're going into the new era of college football. They are improving. They are investing. Why are we in the year 2025 where the Iowa Hawkeyes aren't competing for a college football playoff spot, but two Big Ten basketball schools are? Illinois is competing for a college football playoff spot. So is Indiana. Iowa is not competing for a college football playoff spot right now. That should not be the case. Yeah, Iowa is still consistent. Yeah, Iowa can still win 7, 8, maybe 9 games a year if the schedule breaks their way. But right now, all these other programs in their conference, we all made fun of the Big Ten West for so many years. A lot of those other programs are moving into the future. I know a lot of Iowa fans were still making fun of Nebraska fans for making fun of how bad their quarterback was. Nebraska got a 5-star quarterback. So I wouldn't be talking that much smack to them. I know you guys own them every year at the end of the year. I love watching those mess of a games. But that just really annoyed me. It's Kirk Ferentz. You got to get rid of him. You got to cut ties. It's over. He's done. He's washed. He's cooked. Stick a fork in him. It's over. And I saw some people saying like, oh, you can't get rid of Kirk Ferentz. You got to have him just, he's the best coach in school history, and you got to let him go when he's ready to go. That is dumb thinking. That is absolutely dumb thinking. Guys, let me tell you a story. A few years ago, TCU fires Gary Patterson. Gary Patterson, I believe, was hired around the same time that Kirk Ferentz was at Iowa. Gary Patterson was TCU football. Gary Patterson was the best coach in TCU history. Everything that is good, the reason that TCU is in a Power 4 conference right now, the reason that TCU was ranked, the reason that Gary Patterson had a winning record against Texas during his time as TCU head coach is because of Gary Patterson. And a few years ago, they said, hey, Gary, it's over. We want to move in a different direction. We want to get a new coach for this NIL era. We love everything you did, but Outski's homie. And you know what happened? The very next year after they fire the greatest coach in school history, they are playing in the national championship game. They make the college football playoff. They're the only Big 12 team to win a college football playoff game the very next year. That is what TCU did. Now, I'm not saying you fire Kirk Ferentz at the end of this year and you're playing in the national championship game next year. I'm not saying you're even going to make the college football playoff. But my point is, I've interviewed over 100 people on the show. I interviewed multiple people that cover TCU from a fan's perspective. If I ask them right now, hey, do you guys regret firing Gary Patterson and bringing in Sonny Dykes? None of them would say, no, I regret that we did that. We should have let Gary Patterson go out on his own. They would not say that. They are very happy with Sonny Dykes. They might have a Big 12 championship level team this year if you liked what you saw in that first game against North Carolina. It is time. It is over. He is 70 years old. I don't know if you guys watched the Dallas Cowboys documentary on Netflix, but like when Tom Landry got pushed out of the door then for being super old, he was 65. Kirk Ferentz is 70. It's over. He's the greatest coach in school history. He has done so many good things. Sure, he can still develop incredible offensive linemen, good tight ends. But if he is going to stay the head coach at Iowa, you guys are stuck in neutral. While all these other schools in the Big Ten that have a lot of money, that have a lot of resources, are going to pass you. If Kirk Ferentz is going to be your head coach at Iowa for the next 2 or 3 years, Nebraska will pass you. Wisconsin will pass you. Indiana has already passed you. Illinois has already passed you. Michigan State will pass you. You are going to fall to the bottom of that Big Ten totem pole. I am just letting you know. I know he's done so many great things. It is time. Take the keys away from Grandpa. Take the keys away. It's over. It's done. He's washed. Now, as an Iowa State fan, I kind of hope you keep Grandpa in there because I want to keep whooping his butt for the next few years. But we'll see what happens. I want to know, too, this is kind of where we'll wrap this up. Who should be the heir apparent to Kirk Ferentz at Iowa? Because I know Kleiman's got ties at Kansas State, even though they're having a bad year. Mark Stoops is a guy that has always been rumored to take that job when Kirk Ferentz leaves. Burt over at Illinois, I'm not going to call him his real name. Burt over at Illinois, obviously Iowa alum, as an Iowa tattoo. Maybe I don't know if he'd be willing to leave Illinois to come over to Iowa. I personally, if you're going to get rid of him this year, I would go ahead and I'd get John Summerall down at Tulane. I think he's a really good coach. But the other thing too is like the thing of like all these super mega contracts with all of these big schools, it kind of locks in all of these schools to certain coaches for a very long time. So like if you were to get rid of Kirk Ferentz, there's not many other big fish that you're going to be competing for the best candidates around the sport with. It's like maybe Florida. And then that's it. That's it. So cut ties with them. That's my advice. All right, that's going to do it for this episode here today. If you like this episode, make sure you hit like, make sure you hit subscribe if you haven't done so already. Leave a comment who you think should be the guy who succeeds Kirk Ferentz, because it is going to happen someday. If it doesn't happen after this year, it's probably going to happen in the next 2 or 3, possibly. So I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on who should be the successor, and feel free to check out other Sports Detective videos. I don't usually, or I haven't done a solo one in a while, but we talked to Alex Dono, who covers the Miami Hurricanes, about their potential championship hopes, getting to the college football playoff, winning the ACC. That video's got about 1,500 views on it right now, so make sure you check that out. Make sure you check out a few other videos. We like having interviews, talking football this time of year. It's a great time of year. We love having football back, and hopefully you can subscribe and enjoy the conversation with us. So thank you for watching. Bye.